No more excuses. Today we put new main bearing seals and probably new main bearings in the KDX 200 engine. That one.
How confident are you that you can keep these two engines separate?
Very, very low confidence. There was a long shot hope that maybe just a simple O-ring on the carburetor would fix all of my engine woes, but it really didn't make any difference. It still pours out the smoke, runs extremely rich, and I'm not entirely convinced that the main bearing seals are even the problem, but I know two things. The engine runs in such a way that could be explained by a bad crankshaft seal, and the crankshaft seal does leak as determined by my scientific tests. So that's what we're going to go with. Are you still enthused with this project?
No, I'm sorry. I feel like it's a bad motorcycle.
It's got a license plate though. Don't ever forget that.
It's up to no good. I don't know about this bike.
What we need to do is just get this done quick. So first thing is to get the engines side by side just like they were about a video and a half ago. I got both motors out here on the table. I'm going to mark the engine that I want to end up using to hopefully avoid any confusion. This way, when everything's said and done and the motor is installed, if these cases are left over, there will be no denying that I messed up somewhere. Next thing to do is pull off this cylinder and head.
I see you upgraded your workbench.
I reinforced that old table. I don't want tumbling crankcases. Take this off now. I don't think I caused any extra damage. Something I didn't check before was the ridge at the top of the cylinder, and that sometimes will give you some indication of whether or not the cylinder is worn, because the piston rings slide up and down on here, not to the very tippy top of the cylinder bore. There's probably 1/8 of an inch or maybe a little less of space which is unworn. So if you can feel up in there, it's easier with the head removed, and sense any kind of a ridge, that gives an indication that things are worn out. I can't reach in there right now, so we're not going to worry about it. Why'd I just talk about that? Pistons tagged and bagged. The reason I wanted to take the top end off of this motor is that I wanted to feel this crankshaft compared to this one. I thought that maybe this connecting rod bearing was in much better shape than this one. If that was the case, I'd switch them. They're both about the same. They're usable, but not as tight as they were when they came from the factory. Big surprise there. But it's good news too, because I can just put this motor aside and not worry about it. But before I do that, have a look at how worn out this main bearing is. That has definitely seen better days.
Terrible.
I'm really surprised it didn't knock when it was running, but
Why'd you put it in?
I didn't know it was that bad. We went over this.
Okay.
I admitted my mistake. We
Yeah.
don't need to drive it into the ground, even though that's one of your best things. I can set this aside far away from this motor. Hopefully we can avoid any cross-contamination. So here it is, the main attraction. I have pretty much run out of steam on this project, but we need to get it done, right, camera girl?
Yeah.
Tonight, right, camera girl?
No. It's getting dark.
If we can just do this by the end of the day today, then tomorrow we can go back to digging through trash and hauling it off.
I love my life.
We've got a 500-pound arcade machine to move out of a small garage that has...
With the garage door doesn't open.
Oh, and the garage door doesn't open. Who takes the little rollers out of the garage door? So first thing to do is take off this flywheel.
I'm disappointed in you.
For what?
Correct tool.
It's the correct tool, but it's a really crummy correct tool. This was $7 straight from the mainland China, and it's crooked. Watch when I turn this, how this is not straight. It has a wobble.
Yeah, it's spinning around.
So you had one job, Jing. Just machine this hole straight for the bolt to go through.
Correct tools. It doesn't count if you're not using a hatchet and a ruined screwdriver to take it apart.
Now this is interesting. Come here, loudmouth. So there was oil that had collected in the bottom of the cover that goes right here, and I thought that that would indicate a bad crankshaft seal on this side, but I don't see anything right here, and from what I can see, the seal does not look like it's leaking. that could be beneficial to you if you don't like standing out in the cold. I know for sure that to replace this side seal, I need to split the cases. I have differing opinions based on what the internet says on whether I need to take everything apart to replace the other side seal. If this seal is good, I might be able to leave the motor almost completely together and just replace the seal on the other side.
That's good.
We'll see. First, I want to get a really good look at everything that's behind here and see if there's any evidence of oil leaking. So off we come with this. That's perplexing. Are you zoomed?
That's clean. I'm zoomed. There was oil in this one, right? Wasn't there oil in both?
There was oil in both. And the other one, obviously, the bearing is bad, the seal is probably bad. But this bearing feels really good. And I don't see any evidence of leakage on the seal. I'm going to venture a guess and call this good for the time being. So what I'm going to do is move over to this side, take off the cover, and see if I can get at this seal without totally digging into the engine. Before I break into it though, I want to pressurize the gearbox and show you that there is a leak right here, because if I do all this work and it still runs like it did before, at least I had a viable reason to do it. Now come over here and listen with the camera right there. That's air. Do you hear that air?
No.
At least you're honest. There's a leak there. I know it.
Okay, well, just take your word for it. I don't hear it.
There is a leak right there. I don't know if it's a bad enough leak to cause all the drama that I've been experiencing though. It's been about a minute and it still holds pressure. It's worth taking off the right side cover though anyway.
Sure.
So the seal we want to get at is right behind this gear, and I can tell from here that I will need to take everything apart to get it out. That makes things interesting. We might have to call it a night. I can hardly see you. It's kind of nice.
Sleeping on the couch tonight?
Good morning.
Doesn't anyone ever do your laundry?
Well, I only have one. I think they could. It's cold out here. I think I was a little overly ambitious to think I could take apart this engine, replace the seals, replace the bearings, and put it all back together in an hour and a half. But there's nothing wrong with shooting for the moon, so I'm not ashamed about that. When I went inside last night, I was really thinking about this whole situation, and I really decided that it's unlikely that the terrible running condition that this exhibits could be caused by a tiny little leak that I can barely even detect. My gut feeling here is that I have a fueling issue. I've switched carburetors. I've cleaned this carburetor 10 times till Sunday. No change. But something that I hadn't thought about until last night is that maybe this is just worn out. I've never known carburetors to wear out before, but this is 25 years old. That's old.
How old are you?
I haven't told you about it, but a couple months ago I bought another motorcycle. I haven't had time to work on it, so I just covered it up and put it away. I don't want to do anything to it until I can share it with you. I feel like the videos are more genuine that way. But this motorcycle, which will remain unidentified for right now, has a carburetor that's very similar to the KDX. It's a little bit bigger, but most importantly, it's at least 10 years newer. So let's put this engine back together, one last chance, and try it with the new carburetor.
I can't believe you took all that time just to say that.
Well, there it is, back together again. This is starting to feel really familiar. You all right there with the camera?
I had trouble.
All I'm really hoping for is some kind of change from the sluggish, blubbery, obnoxious behavior that we've witnessed so far. I'm not really optimistic though, because we've already tried 2 different carburetors and this one isn't even meant for the motorcycle. But here we are. Call it, Jennifer. Better or worse?
I'm ready.
That isn't an answer.
I was confused. Better.
Choke is on. Gas is on. Confidence is running high. different.
That was very different.
Okay, I got that idle adjusted. I'm really hoping for the best here.
You sound like it.
Welcome back to life. Beware. I think the KDX just checked in.
Let's go carburetor shopping.
Will you do that with me?
I'll go with you.
That's how this engine is supposed to sound. Harmony, crispness. You can hear it just touching and wanting to get up on the pipe when it revs up. It still smokes a little bit, but that's because there's an accumulation of sludge in this whole exhaust system, and that'll all clear out with enough riding. I can't believe it. Thanks for watching. Glad I didn't split those cases. Whoa.